Welcome to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
Okay, what are your thoughts on intermittent fasting?
I think there's a lot of great information and studies on fasting and how it could benefit the body. I think it's in direct opposition to the bro science myth of eat 6 small meals a day. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think it's necessary. Some people may need snacks because they're not getting enough calories in their meals. But the majority of people, you need to let your body digest and then do what it's supposed to do. Like, your body can help fix itself if you give it the time to. If it's constantly working on digesting, you're never going to be able to get back to a balance or a normal.
If you're always eating before it's had time to digest what you've already eaten?
Constantly digesting.
Oh, okay.
So gastric emptying time's every like 2 to 3 hours. So if you're eating every 2 to 3 hours, then you're constantly digesting the whole day. And then what's your body doing? I mean, it doesn't have any chance to flush inflammation. It doesn't have any chance to repair sprains, tears, things like that. You really don't get the opportunity to be human.
So that would be one benefit of intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
You'd for sure have that.
Yeah.
Now, how about sleeping at night? Does that not count?
What do you
That's
mean?
6 or 8 hours where probably most people are not eating, right?
Most people aren't. I have some clients that wake up in the middle of the night and eat.
Okay.
I have to go downstairs if I want to do that, and that's just not happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that so normal intermittent fasting is 16-8. So you're eating for an 8-hour window, you're fasting for 16, and the majority of that 16 is sleep. So normal is 12 to 8 p.m. This is just standard. Now that moves around. I have a couple clients that like start their day at 10, and I'm like, all right, so it's 10 to 6. They eat early. They're fine with that. It can move around as long as it's 16-8. And I think for females, it's 14-10. Yeah, because of hormone production and things like that. So
They can eat for a little bit of a longer window and still get the same benefits. of
similar
intermittent
benefits, yeah,
fasting?
because
Similar. Okay.
where women, obviously estrogen is a huge player in that. So letting the body regulate those hormones after meals is going to allow them the opportunity to balance.
So you have clients that do intermittent fasting, and then you help them know what to eat in their eating window, basically.
Yeah. So the way I break down food is how it affects the blood sugar in the bloodstream, how it hits. So the way I break everything out, there's protein, there's fats, and then there's 3 different types of carbs because they hit your bloodstream differently. So you have your fast burning carbs, your fruits, your sugars based natural foods. Obviously, we're not putting Snickers bars in there or anything like that. Slow burning carbs, which are like your rices, your starches, potatoes, and there's really nothing off the table. Like, people are like, oh, well, should I stay away from gluten? I'm like, are you allergic to gluten? No. Okay, well just eat food. I mean, you'll be okay. And then there's fibrous carbs, so your green vegetables, your things like that. So
Did you say fiber? What did you say?
fibrous.
Fibrous carbs? Okay.
So carbs essentially that are mainly fiber based.
Okay.
So the way I look at that is like, and this is one of the questions I get all the time. They're like, so I get most of my protein from peanut butter. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. There's no way, because there's 6 grams of protein and there's 16 grams of fat. So there's no way you get the majority of your protein from that unless you're eating like 12 grams of protein a day.
Yep.
So the way food is classified is incredibly important. So that's a fat that has protein,
Yes.
rather than it's a protein and a fat. No, it's a fat.
Oh, okay.
that has
So you
protein.
view peanut butter as this is a fat that has protein in
Yes.
it. I see. Okay.
Yeah. And it's a good fat. And I mean, I'm fine with, peanut butter, almond butter, cashew butter, whatever, sunflower butter. It doesn't really matter to me. All those are about the same. So.
Okay. All right. So do you recommend intermittent fasting, or you're just okay with it if someone has tested it and it seems to be working well for them?
If someone tested it or wants to test it, I'll show them how to do it. If someone's been doing it, then I'll show them how to continue to do it. But I mean, I don't throw it out there. Most people just need to be balanced.
Really?
The majority of people come in and I'm like, you eat 0 fat. Like, that's a problem, or you eat no carbs. You probably need to up that, so I give them a good balance to start. And then every 2 weeks we meet. So I tweak the plan based on what the results are. So I go off an InBody. I have an InBody 270 at my office.
What is that?
It's biometric impedance. It's like if you go to NutriShop, they have those machines you stand on, you put your hands on, you look like a goof.
Okay.
There. Yeah. This is the most awkward way to stand as you possibly could. But it gives me body fat percentage, skeletal muscle mass, body weight, resting metabolic rate, water, how much total body water you have. I mean, it gives me enough data to build out a program and have some, data points for each time they come in.
I see.
So then we're showing progress on multiple different levels rather than just being like, oh, you lost 5 pounds. Because I could give a shit about weight. Excuse me, could I swear?
Yeah, it's world.
Sorry.
I'm not going to tell your mom.
All right. Well, my mom swears more than I do. I coach kids classes. So I'm like, oh my God, did I just swear?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I could care less about weight. People are like, oh, well, I would like to weigh. I'm like, you're going to weigh what you're going to weigh at a right body fat, And if you think 125 is your weight and you settle at 130, but you fit into all your clothes, you're going to be okay. Yeah. I mean, there's multiple different things that matter more than what a scale says. It's like, It's like wondering what the internet thinks about me. I don't give a shit.
Yes, exactly. Totally agree with that. 100%.
Yeah.
For whatever weird reason, I've never put on weight. Like when I would stop working out or, fall off and just get too caught up at work and not CrossFit for like 6 months or whatever, and not even eat the greatest, I get soft in my gut. But I don't put on weight. I actually lose a little bit of weight. So I've just never paid much attention to my weight, and I've never paid any attention, not even a little bit, to calories. I have no idea how many calories I eat. And so I think I have room for improvement on that front. I'd actually be very interested in, maybe I just need to go through your program, because I'd kind of like to bulk up. But I've not paid, but also, okay, maybe I should pay more attention to my caloric intake. But when people are counting their calories and it's like they're just trying to stay under 2,000 calories, and so like this Coke is however many calories, and this cheeseburger, and then this ice cream, and this chocolates, dude. I mean, the answer to that is, guys, stop it, right? Just stop it.
The whole if it fits your macros thing is taken out of context. So people are like, oh, well, I can eat donuts and pizza. I'm like, sure you can. But like, if you eat a pizza and you have, say a female has 15 to 1,700 calories and you eat a whole pizza, you can't eat the rest of the day. Like, how does that make sense? That it doesn't. So the reason it was created was to allow people to eat what they want within a calorie level, like on occasion. Like, so say you're going out to eat for an anniversary, you could just, all right, well, I'm going to pull back here so I can eat like this meal that we're having here. It wasn't meant to be like, hey, let's celebrate shitty food.
Exactly.
I'm going to eat Pop-Tarts and donuts all day. And
as long as I keep it under my the total calorie count for the day, I should be fine.
Yeah. So a lot of people think like that food quality doesn't matter. They're like, all right, well, I'll just stick with my calories and I'll be okay. But food quality matters. Like for internal function, you need good, nutritious food.
Oh, yeah.
If you're eating like protein bars and shakes all day, I mean, you're not getting what you need. You're getting a bunch of processed food that has pretty much no nutrient value.
Yes. Why is that so hard to understand? Because every time people go to the gas station and fill up their car, they have the option of 87 something or 93, whatever the fuel options are. And there's diesel, and no one really runs good on diesel except for the trucks or whatever and the Volkswagens. But even at the gas station, we understand there's a lower quality fuel, a medium quality, and a high quality fuel. There is a precedent for this to be out there. It shouldn't take that much understanding to understand that eating 2,000 calories of those chocolates a day is going to be different than eating 2,000 calories of, my cow in the backyard that I cut up and ate. Yeah. I mean, extreme. Why is this so hard to understand?
So we've been taught that less is best a lot. We've been taught that. I mean, it's precedent. The thing we're talking about right there with carbohydrates being refined carbohydrates being the base of a pyramid. We've been told that, it doesn't really matter what you eat if you just eat kind of like this. And it does. So like I can't eat like some of my clients do because it doesn't react well with my body, but they can't eat like I do either. And I don't push that on anyone. I think the biggest issue that we come across is, I have a lot of female clients. Like I would say probably the majority of my clients are female. But they don't eat. Like I have a bunch of like little girls, like, and I say little girls, they're younger than me, but they're like little people, And they're like 130 pounds and 5'4", and they work out an absolute like 2 hours a day, and they're eating like 1,200 calories, and you're just like,
whoa,
what's going on? You know, well, I want to get leaner. I'm like, well, it's not going to work that way. That's just not how you do things. Like, it works to a point, and then it goes backwards.
Okay, can you talk about that, why that is? Because I think you're now touching on something that, I feel like Nick and Dwight from Proven were talking about, which is that some people think you just need to up your exercise, lower your food, but at some point you actually get not just diminishing returns, but it starts to work against you because your body starts to kind of go into a mode. Maybe you can speak to this, but I think what they were saying was sometimes you actually increase your overall food that you're eating. Maybe it's different food. Maybe, I forget if they said that or not, but you actually increase the food a little bit, get the body what it needs, and then you actually can sometimes lose weight or be in a much better place physically. What's going on with all of that?
So your metabolism is your regulator. So that's where you burn the amount of calories you burn. So if you're eating too much of a deficit for too long, your metabolism drops. It'll slow down to accommodate the lower amount. So initially, eating restricted schedule for, like, say you're doing it for 2 weeks, you're going to see some gains, or losses, whatever you're looking for. But at some point, your body's like, I mean, our human body is the most complex machine out there. So if you look at it that way, it's going to adapt. It adapts to the food level that you're eating, and then slowly your metabolism slows down, and you start gaining fat from the amount of food that you're eating or not eating, you know? So your body will start to store. And, you know, once the muscle glycogen is full, everything goes to process through the liver as carbohydrates, processed through the liver as fat. So, and then it's stored. So, you know, and that's kind of like why that doesn't work, you know? So I'm sure they talked about Brooke, and she was only eating like 2,500 calories last year, training for 6 hours. And I asked her about it, so she told me what she was eating. And then now she's eating way more than that. And she's actually as lean as she was.
Yes.
And her performance is same spectacular way.
Yes.
So.
She said, okay, that's a great example because I think she even had this on her social media or something.
The macro stack stuff.
Yeah. So it's not private information. So she, 2,500 calories a day, working out 6 hours a day. Now she's eating more. Do you know what she's eating?
I don't.
Okay, but she's eating more.
Yeah.
Is she eating different types of foods, or it's just more?
I think it's just, I don't know. I think it's just more. I do Sydney's nutrition, and she was only eating originally like 1,800 calories, and she works out a lot. You know, she's extremely fit. Now, the thing about that, and this is what I'm talking about with the 1%, they can get by doing that because they're that good. But I bumped her up like immediately to 2,100 calories, and she was already leaner.
Wow,
like, it's impressive.
Wow, this is So there you go. She's eating more food and she's more lean, and this is because the body is healthier.
You're hitting it at a level where you're not at a deficit. You're not at like this massive deficit. So if it's like 1,000 calorie deficit, okay, let me back up. The whole thought process of calories in versus calories out. Like, if you eat less than you burn, then you're going to lose weight. That's the thought process. And that's true to a point. So at some point, it's like, all right, well, the body is going to adapt. It's going to drop that level down. So all of a sudden, you're eating too much for that level. And you start to store.
I see.
Yes. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, you know, with someone like Brooke that, you know, they're 25, both of them are 25. My metabolism didn't work the way theirs works ever. So I don't personally understand it, but understanding the science of it, eventually it'll catch up.
Yeah. Let's talk about carbs for a little bit because I don't know, I could be wrong. I mean, you would actually know much better than I, but in some ways I almost feel like carbs were having a little bit of a renewal or a little bit of
renaissance.
Like renaissance, a little bit. Is this accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with carbs. I think people need carbs. I think people need the right carbs. I think they need them at the right times of day to utilize those carbs. So like, I don't pull those things away from my clients. Like if you're working with someone that removes a whole food group, then you're in the wrong place because it's not sustainable. Sustainability is what the whole goal should be. We should be able to add calories to a point of maintenance. When you hit your point where you're like, I feel like I look good. This is what I want to look like. This is what I want to feel. Then we bump your calories up just a little bit, keep you at a maintenance, and then you can hang out there. And the leaner you are, the more fun you can have. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Like I have some lean clients that, they like to go out on the weekend. They like to have a good time, and then they get back to it during the week.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. So I feel like is this where it depends on the person? Because I feel like for me, I mean, I'm seeing some of the things about carbs. I want to say Brooke Wells mentioned it when she was talking about her caloric intake. Maybe not. There was like 2 or 3 places where these are legit people. I don't even remember who they were, but they were talking about carbs in sort of a positive light. Yeah. And I'm sure they weren't talking about carbs from bad sources, but good carbs. And so I'm open to that. I just feel like from knowing my body and everything, my body doesn't do great on a bunch of carbs.
Yeah.
I think I do feel much better on more fat and protein, and I mean, it's still carbs, but. Well,
I mean, 75% of the population burns carbs as their primary source of energy. So, there's a small percentage that doesn't, that burns fats. And I'm part of that. Sounds like you might be part of that. That doesn't mean we don't eat carbs. It just means we don't eat in abundance. Like I went through I like to go through 8 weeks on my own, like all the fads that are out there. So I went through 8 weeks of keto, turned into 2 years of keto.
Oh, wow.
And it just worked for me. Like it was probably it was 2018, 2019. It was like my best CrossFit years. I mean, I felt great. It's just not sustainable long term. Like I'm low carb, but I'm not keto anymore. But I went through 8 weeks of eating 400 grams of carbs a day. And I was like up to 217. I didn't look the same. I'm like a 205 to 208. And it was just, you learn a lot about yourself when you run through all this stuff. Like I've run through everything that's out there except for the raw food diet. I did that for 3 days and it was awful.
Eat only raw food?
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
But what even could you eat though?
It's just a bunch of like uncooked vegetables. And yeah, it was not.
So it's basically like vegan.
Yeah, it was not tasty.
Oh wow, yeah. Have you ever done the carnivore diet, meat diet?
I mean, keto is kind of like that.
Yeah.
So sort of.
Okay.
But I know there's a couple people that I follow that tout that as like the way to heal the body. Really, it's just low carbs, low inflammation diet. So like kind of like almost like a Mediterranean style.
Yes. Yeah. So when I was looking back over my journal yesterday in preparation for this podcast, and I remember where I was sitting. It was April the 7th, 2020. I had just eaten something and I felt sick. I would eat, and then 15 to 20 minutes after I'd eat, I would just feel sick.
Yeah.
And this happened on April the 7th, and I was like, dude, I'm over this. I'm done with this. And I tried carnivore for 1 week a year before that, and so I went carnivore and then just stuck with it for most of the last summer. Yeah. Felt so good, and I'm not doing it now. Now I'm actually at the place where I can pretty much eat what's in front of me, and I don't feel sick. Yeah. But I do feel like it. I kind of do feel like it healed my gut a little bit. So I don't know what's behind that. Maybe it's the low inflammation stuff that you're talking about.
It's a lot of low inflammation. It's the good bacteria that you're getting in there. It's digesting that meat. You seem to probably digest meat well, which is good. Some people don't.
Okay.
So the carnivore diet wouldn't work for some people.
Makes sense.
But I mean, the gut biome is, a lot of people have called it the second brain. So it'll tell you exactly what you need to know.
You'll feel.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, your body will tell you what's going on if you want to listen.
And so that was meat and dairy. And so I had yogurt and eggs and cheese and meat. And so, snack was bacon and cheese and yogurt. Evan taught me something that I still use. It's just one of the best snacks ever, bro. Ground beef mixed with Fage yogurt, with hot sauce.
That's not something I would probably
try it, man. Yeah. It is so good. I
don't know, man.
It doesn't sound good, but it's super tasty. So I would have that as a snack, and man, I just felt really good. Okay, carbs. Back to that. So carbs, basically, what would you? It just out of the gate, just kind of lump is like, man, let's not be eating too much of that when it comes to carbs. And what would be some that you would say, let's try to move towards some of this?
Like stay away from?
Yeah, carbs you'd stay away from, and carbs you'd want people move towards.
It really depends, like person to person.
Okay.
Some, like I said, some people handle gluten, some people don't handle gluten. You know, what we put in there essentially is I try to, if someone's looking to lose weight, I will carb cycle them through the day. So we'll have everything at breakfast. So you have your fast burning, your slow burning, your fibrous carbs at breakfast. Mm-hmm. And then at lunch, we'll remove the fast burning carbs. So the insulin spike, we'll remove that. So you take out the fast burning carbs, you have your slow burning carbs and your fibrous carbs. And if they're really trying to cut back on weight, I'm still going to give them enough calories, but I'll pull the slow burning carb out and give them double vegetable at dinner. So it's just kind of a cycle through the day to allow for the body to process those carbohydrates and, you know, utilize them rather than having them just sit there and then be processed improperly.
I see.